Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon to wherever you are watching from, and welcome to our headquarters here in Fair. We are in our studio once again, and we would like to present you another Beckhoff online live event. So we have gathered here in the studio, we have prepared some exciting presentations about some technologies, and we are looking very much forward to get in touch with you. Hopefully, we can do this in 2022 also in person once again, because we think exhibitions are just on the horizon and we are really looking forward to go to meet you at exhibitions and at personal meetings once again. But in the meantime, we would like to have another event with you, the so-called Intelligent Product Transport Days. And Intelligent Product Transport, this is basically the catchphrase for two systems which we have here at Beckhoff. One system is the XTS system and the other system, the XPlanar system. And in the next 3 days, we would like to spend 40 to 45 minutes with you every day at 4 p.m. UTC+1 talking about XTS and XPlanar and what these technologies can do to you and how they can help you to solve challenges all over your production shop floor. Before we start with the first presentations, I would like to have a very short look at some organizatory matters, and for sure we would like to get in contact with you, and for this you can use for sure the chat window on LinkedIn, so you can just post comments to the video which you are seeing right now in the live stream, or you can, if you are watching from our website, you can use the integrated chat functionality and type in your question there. But what we would like to ask you to type in is from where you are watching and who you are. So please let us know who you are and from where you are watching. We would really much like to know who is watching us and from where you are watching us. To make sure that the 3 days come with a very nice story after all, we have put in some thought. And to present you the story which we have laid out for the next 3 days, I would like to invite my colleague Rob to the stage here, because he can help me a little bit of introducing our big story to you. So, Rob, what have you been doing with Beckhoff so far?
It's been, I've been a long time with Beckhoff now and done a little bit of everything. So I started with the company back in May of '99 in Minneapolis with a very small office, just a few of us, and then I was all over the place with different customers, programming on machines, spending a lot of time at site, at customers, really learning how all sorts of various products are made and what we can do with technology to make it better, faster, cheaper, less waste.
So typically, we've been working with machine builders, but since we have XTS and XPlanar in the market, I think the scope of people with which we talk has extended a little bit, right?
It's changed. So a lot of times for us, it was always talking directly with the machine builder and saying, okay, what do you produce with your machine? How fast does the machine run? How can we make it smaller? How can we make it faster? How can we make it less expensive? With XTS and XPlanar and these transportation technologies, now we're typically bringing more machines together and really bring a line into the smallest footprint possible, and that is the focus of the end users. Mm-hmm. They have various machines and want to bring this tightly controlled together. They want to be able to make more different types of products on the same line without a lot of mechanical changeover or without having to buy a second line. Simply just another SKU gets added to the mix and we can adjust things to make that new product with the existing machinery that we have.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of discussions with machine builders and end customers, and for sure we are doing this all over the world, right? I think the most eastern point on the map is somewhere here. I think it's Auckland. And the most western point is maybe San Jose or something like this. So we are active in, I think, 37 countries. We have more than 75 subsidiaries. So we are having these discussions all over the world, and more importantly, maybe in different industries. Can you recall some applications which you have been involved in? If you just look at these pictures,
there's a lot of those subsidiaries weren't there when I started. Now, actually, I've visited a whole chunk of them, or at least we've typically done an awful lot of projects together. I know that for a fact that there is one system in Hawaii.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I wasn't the one that got sent to that.
Okay. Maybe a surfboard positioning, something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's all kinds of different applications. So, and for XTS and XPlanar, we see them now in a wide variety of things. Either we're in electronics and we're doing high accurate positioning of things, and really with the XPlanar, then there's no moving parts. Well, there's moving parts, but there's no wear. There's no debris created. With XTS, it's typically fast and very accurate positioning again, from everything from really toothbrushes to hard drives to fiber optic cable and cookies and Oreos and everything. There's just all sorts of different things, cosmetics. Yeah. All of these different applications, all done with the XTS or the XPlanar. We see that there's kind of two main focuses, that some need the high accuracy and the repeatability. We do have customers that have achieved things like repeatability of 7 micrometers. Mm-hmm. And then we've got other customers that go to the other end of the spectrum and really, really fast. So 1,000 parts per minute and faster. Mm-hmm. So it varies from application to application, but we can do both.
Yeah. So maybe to bring this together and coming a little bit back to our bigger story, we are talking with machine builders and end customers from more or less all over the world, so Hawaii included. And we are doing this with companies from all kinds of industries, so from manufacturing to pharmaceutics and to cosmetics and everything else. And to prepare for this week, we have actually written down what these companies all tell us, what they think are the big challenges they have at the moment and which they will have in future. And this leads us to the following chart. So we have written down some challenges which companies, which end customers and machine builders from different industries face at the moment. For example, the need to reduce the space requirements of the machine. Maybe Rob, can you talk a little bit about one or two of the challenges which are there?
Well, that's a little bit of everything, right? We want to always make the machine smaller, but if I'm doing things in a clean room, right, then my space is really expensive. Also, if I'm doing it somewhere where it's cold. Yeah. Anything I can do to reduce those environmental constraints and say, okay, I make it as small as possible. I don't need to build a new factory. I don't need to build a new clean room. Yeah. I can do more with less. For pharmaceutical, things like track and trace is really important, that we're able to know exactly what goes in every product. And then things like glass-to-glass contact, so that there's no chance of, or there's a lot less chance of breakage. And that's really well done with XTS and XPlanar, because each product then sits on its own mover. Yeah. And we can pull those out independently, so there's no longer wasting, oh, one of these was bad, we need to scrap 20. No, it's one was bad, we scrapped that one. Yeah. And we know exactly which one that was. And if someone shuts the system down and starts it up again, we still know where everything is. So we can keep track of every single individual product, when it was created and on which line it was created. Yeah. It's also very important for food and beverage. So food and beverage, they also do a lot with track and trace. And that's important if it ever comes to a recall. How much product do I need to recall?
Big topic, yeah.
So if I know what products specifically on which lines are subject to recall, I bring those cases back. I don't have to say, it happened sometime in the last 2 weeks. Everything I've made in the last 2 weeks now needs to come back. That's a huge problem, right? And if we can catch anything before it gets to the grocery stores and supermarkets, that makes it even easier. Yeah. Electronics, then, a lot of it is accuracy, right? True. And then things like, it's just different, right? Every time I want to build perhaps I do make millions of something, but next year I'm going to make millions of something else.
Yeah, that's true.
So this changeover has to be able to happen quickly and easily, and no longer rip all the mechanics out, put all new mechanics in, just simply tell the movers to go to a different location, and now I can suddenly make a new product at a new position. Yeah.
Also reflects a little bit maybe on the time to market aspect of developing machines very fast, but what we basically would like to say is that we have listened to all of these challenges, and in the next 3 days, Rob already jumped on some of these topics and tried to answer them. In the next 3 days, we would like to give you an idea how we think we can solve some of these challenges with XTS and XPlanar. Before we jump into these more problem-centered discussions, we would like to have a look at the broad technologies itself. So Rob will be back in a hot second and give you a broad introduction to XTS, what it is and what you can actually do with it. And then we will be back here live on stage.
Many of you will know the XTS and have seen the XTS, but not necessarily know where it would fit in your machine or why you need an XTS. And I want to explain today where the XTS is used and how it can benefit your system and make more product in a smaller space at a faster rate. So if we take a look at some of the existing examples that we've got out there, we do things with heavy movers and 4 or 5 kilograms. We're making the inner housings for airbags on movers. And the XTS was a huge boon to that system. It drastically shrunk the size of the assembly line because only one station needed to be doubled up and the rest of the stations could remain singles. Then we've had other places where they need to get a super tight format. So we needed to get movers 20 millimeters to spacing together, but the movers are 50 millimeters thick. So the only way to do that was to stack them up. And because the XTS is so thin, we're able to stack 3 layers of an XTS on top and now bring tooling in at a 20 millimeter spacing. We've had other customers use multiple movers together to have 2 movers carry a varying dimension of product. And we've had other systems where they'll bring in various holders that then mate to the movers and continue through. We have for the last year and even earlier, we've been producing 3 XTS fully finished systems per day. So there's there's thousands of systems out in the field, more than 12 kilometers of XTS installed, and it continues to grow. And that's because the XTS allows you to put a mover wherever you want it. And you can place the movers with different products in different places without even necessarily the touch of the button. It might actually recognize the product and recognize that it has to go to a different location or has to make a different format. So maybe I want to group up for this product, I want to group up 6 at a time and I want them all evenly spaced, or I want 6 at a time, but I want them separated out because they're going to go into a different form of packaging. Basically, each mover as it gets the product can figure out and decide where it needs to go. So a typical transport system has an indexing chain, or a lot of machines have an indexing chain, or some form of indexing system where basically all the processes are tied right together, and I index the mover from station to station and say, okay, there are now X number of movers in front of you, or X number of products in front of you, work on them, and then everybody wait, I'm going to index everything, and then everything can work again. Or I go to an asynchronous flow, but an uncoordinated system. And now I have buffers, and normally I have to put a lot of conveying in between each machine. So the product that comes out of mover or out of object 1, my processing station 1, my machine 1, the product that's coming out of that comes out at whatever rate it runs at. I can get it close to the rate of product of station 2, but not necessarily exact. And for that, I'm going to need a bunch of buffering space. So I will have a conveyor, typically conventional conveyor, that's holding a number of products. And as soon as station 1 lets go of the product, once it gets to station 2, I've lost the information about that product. Or someone comes along and says, yeah, I need to take one of these for inspection. I've now lost, I have no idea which product is in which order, so I have to re-find it at station 2 if I want to know anything unique about that specific product that was produced for track and trace. So what we do with the XTS is we can take and we can bring that and make it a lot smaller. So we'll put the stations where we need them. So now I directly take product out of station 1, transfer it asynchronously to station 2, and from station 2 to station 3. So oftentimes I will have product underway. So as soon as station 1 is finished, or when station 1 and 2 are working on product, there's a mover bringing product into the station for the next cycle. So my transition of my motion times is a lot quicker, and I get a higher throughput because I'm not waiting for the entire system to index the next product in. Or I go things and I say, okay, I'm able to make 20 products per minute. Everything in my system waits on the middle station. So the middle station takes 2 seconds. I can't speed it up. If I try to speed it up, I'm going to be detrimental to my process. So ideally, I'd want to slow it down. But to get anything faster out of the machine, I need to work on 2 of these at a time. And if I have a typical indexing system, now I need to have every station have 2 at a time, because I will index 2, work on 2, index 2, work on 2. With the XTS, we can change that up and say, fine, we'll do that. But now I'm going to space everything out and say, all right, asynchronously, station 1 is kicking product out at whatever rate it can achieve. And then station 2 is working on 2 at a time. Station 3 is working on 1 at a time. So I don't need to double everything up. I only need to double up the stations that need the time. In my toolkit, I've got some very simple components. I've got some motor modules that provide the current, and they provide the feedback of the system to tell me where the movers are, and they drive the movers around, right? And those motor modules get me all of the capabilities of the XTS. Very high accelerations. With different tracks, we can do very high payloads, 20 kilograms, even up to even more. 80 kilograms, 90 kilograms, that's all doable. Super high accuracy, very small product spacing, all of that extremely flexible on the XTS. Systems up to 100 meters in length, 200 movers, that's very easily doable today. And that will only extend. Then we take our movers and we mount them on a rail system. And that's what gets the movers around. That's what holds everything in place and allows us to go through the curves at very high speed. So we have a few different versions of rails. You can make your own, but commonly we do either an on-top rail where the mover is mounted directly on top of the XTS. This allows us our thinnest form factor. If we need different things and we need to go with heavier payloads or higher speeds, and now we can put in a neighboring rail. So we put a rail next to the motor modules, steel construction, and now we can put 20, 30 kilograms on it, or we can run extremely fast through the curves, or with extremely light movers. So we have those capabilities as well. And then we have the thing that brings it all together, and that's the PC. And we pick and choose the PC depending on the application. So the PC runs the XTS with the standard TwinCat software, the same TwinCat I'm used to using. But now we just have the XTS in there as well, and the PC can run the rest of the machine generally very easily. If it can run 200 movers on 100 meters of XTS, it can run the 50, 60 other axes quite easily. So then we pick and choose the PC right for the application. Either a small one for machines 10, 15 meters in length, a medium-sized PC for systems that are maybe up to 60 meters long, and then once we start getting to 100, 150 meters, then we'll go to the full, what we call the big iron, that allows us to handle the hundreds of movers and hundreds of meters of track. With the simulation software, with all of it integrated, or I shouldn't say it's simulation software, with TwinCat, everything's all integrated into one place. We've got one piece of software that has different functions within it. So we have our HMI directly in it, we add the XTS extension into it, and I use all the same motion function blocks that TwinCat has, with some advantages for XTS, but all of my standard function blocks already work with the XTS system. So it's now really just an extension. So that's what we have. We have the XTS extension, we have the HMI, we have the motion control, but we have everything else that TwinCat can already do. Analytics, vision, all the rest of the machine can be put into that same PC that's already running my XTS. And that's how I can get an awful lot out of my machine in a very small space with an XTS and TwinCat.
so far the short walk through hardware and software of the XTS system by Rob. Rob has left the stage. He's busy because he has to check for the ice hockey results. Sweden and Canada are in the quarterfinals, and he's from Saskatoon, so he has to check out if his team is doing well. In the meantime, many of you have posted from where they are looking. So good morning to Pennsylvania, to Williamsport. Good evening, I guess it's quite late evening, 8:15, something like that, to Pakistan, so amazing from where you are watching, to Argentina, to Sweden, I guess you're also looking at the same game as Rob is doing, to Italy, to Peru, to El Salvador, to Australia, so awesome from where you are watching, very nice to have you here. We also already had the first questions. So Jeff was asking if we have low-cost education kits for the XTS available, I guess. And I can say, yes, we have the so-called starter kits. We also have this for the XPlanar technology, to which we give to you an introduction in a minute. So this is possible. Please just contact your closest Beckhoff subsidiary. They can supply you with an offer for that. Jeff is also asking if we have, when we will add support for MQTT Spark B. And I must admit, Jeff, I do not know that, but I know that my colleague Sven Goldstein knows that, and I will have him get in contact with you and answer that question for you. Last but not least, Muhammad is asking if we have any distribution in Bangladesh, and yes, we have. Please check out our website. It's the company called Techmast from Sri Lanka, which is taking care of Beckhoff projects in Bangladesh. So far, XTS and the first questions. Now I would like to get to my personal passion, the XPlanar system, and to give you an introduction what the XPlanar system is and what you can do with it. We have prepared a short video which is approximately 10 minutes long, and we will show this to you to give you an idea what is the amazing thing about XPlanar, and afterwards we will be back here live on stage. So keep on posting questions, please. Our goal at Beckhoff Automation is to supply you with innovative automation technology to solve the challenges of today and tomorrow. On this mission, we are introducing a couple of revolutionary products every now and then. And one of the big revolutions over the last years, which we introduced in 2018, is the XPlanar system. Unfortunately, we were able to show it to the world in physical exchange in the last time in 2019 on the SPS fair in Nuremberg, where this picture was taken. Since then, this picture has proven a great Kickstarter for conversations about XPlanar, and this is exactly what this presentation is all about, to give you an introduction into XPlanar and to start a conversation about it. What is XPlanar is best shown by the XPlanar itself with a short video. Here you see two objects, we call them the XPlanar movers, chasing each other over the XPlanar tile. I will come to the XPlanar tile in a moment. For the time being, we just can watch the movers. They are moving very, very fast with up to 2 meters per second, very, very closely together. And now they even show the capability of rotation around the own axis. So it's really a multi-dimensional drive system which allows for moving in the plane, in the 2D plane, and which also allows for rotation and for tilting in the other 3 dimensions. So it's a 6D positioning system and a 2D movement system. The XPlanar mover, which you see here in the video, is basically an aluminum housing with permanent magnets. These permanent magnets are repelled by the XPlanar tile, which I will show to you right now. This is the XPlanar tile, our fully integrated motor module. This means we have coils here. These coils generate an electromagnetic field, actually a Lorentz force, which repels the permanent magnets in the XPlanar mover. We also have a feedback system in here, power electronics, and a power supply. So you do not need to have a big control cabinet to run an XPlanar system in this. And you can lay these tiles next to each other, and then you can set up the layout which your individual application requires. So you can really build a custom machine with XPlanar. You do not have to follow any restrictions. Now coming a little bit to the small XPlanar toolbox which we offer, because we do not only have one XPlanar mover, we have in fact 5 different types, and of course some other types and sizes are thinkable. And we do this for sure. But for now, we can offer these 5 movers. The smallest one you have seen in the video, but we have movers which can carry up to 5 kilograms. The bigger they get, the more they can carry. And we can couple the movers together. So if you couple 4 of the biggest movers together, for example, you can actually carry 20 kilograms. The XPlanar system consists out of the tiles and the movers, but for sure a little bit more is required to make everything run. And one big part is for sure the control system. XPlanar is controlled by a Beckhoff PC, which has TwinCAD running on it, our automation software. And inside this automation software, XPlanar is one module among many others. I will come back to this in a minute. I think for you, it's mostly interesting to figure out what you can actually do with XPlanar. So you can build fun demos and you can make nice pictures of it, but what you can actually do is something like this. So this is a single mover on an XPlanar system which now starts its journey through the production process. This could look like this. So the mover goes to station A, B, C, D, E, and these stations are not aligned after each other. They are more or less chaotically distributed all over the system. The chaotic movement becomes even more evident if we add another mover, which goes to different stations or sometimes to the same station as we see with station C. This shows very nicely, at least in my opinion, that the XPlanar is perfectly capable for enabling the production of different products at the same time in the same machine. So this is really full flexibility because all of the products can overtake each other. You can take products out of the production stream to inspect them, to do some rework. All of this is possible, and this really allows for truly flexible machine building where you can build truly individualized products. Another thing which is done quite frequently with XPlanar is using it as a buffer or as a sorting machine. So with XPlanar you can build up wonderfully designed 2D buffers and sorting machines. In this case it's about making sure that the biggest boxes come out of the machine first and the smallest one last. And so the XPlanar system takes over the sorting task in this case and makes sure that the correct order of products which is required by a succeeding process is established. Last but not least, it is also possible to use XPlanar beyond the sheer means of transport. You can also use it as a positioning device for processing. This is shown quite nicely in the application from PlasmaTreat, where a plasma nozzle is activating the surface of a plastic part in this case. And usually the plasma nozzle is mounted to a 6D robot, and this 6D robot is moving the plasma nozzle over the part. And with the XPlanar, this is no longer required because the XPlanar mover is doing all the positioning of the part in front of the plasma nozzle. So it gets significantly easier to do the entire setup of the machine. You do not need a complex 6D robot. You only need the XPlanar system and then maybe one very simple axis to move everything back and forth. So the machine footprint gets smaller, everything gets less complicated, you do not have to take care of so much maintenance. It's really a simplification of the system. If you are now in an industry where it's not about mounting or plasma cleaning, then it could also be interesting for you to know that we have solutions for very, very clean environments or for very, very dirty environments at the same time with the same product. This is our stainless steel mover series where we completely encapsulate the XPlanar mover in stainless steel, and this makes it perfectly cleanable. So for example, with detergents which are common in the food industry, and it also makes sure that no particles are leaving the XPlanar mover, so that there is no outgassing of the mover into the environment, which is also interesting, or which could also be interesting for applications in the pharma industry, for example. The XPlanar tiles, which the one I showed, not, but generally the XPlanar tiles can also be hidden behind stainless steel. So you can put a thin layer of stainless steel on top of the XPlanar tile, and then you have a very, very cleanable surface. And this allows you really to hide the entire system behind stainless steel. And in this case, you can really build a hygienic design for the machine, and you can really get super simple with all the mechanics around the machine. Last but not least, coming a little bit back to the control philosophy, because the XPlanar control, the movements which you have seen in the video, the whole interface, the whole setup, everything is realized inside our automation software TwinCAD. this is super nice because there are a lot of people around the world who know how to work with TwinCAD, especially the Beckhoff engineers in the offices close to you, and who can help you realize machines with that. And then it's really your interface to the entire machine. You have the XPlanar module where you take care of the trajectories of the XPlanar movers, but you can also have vision inspection, AI, or anything else which you require in your machine. Inside TwinCAD, it's always the same programming language, and you can always have one access to the entire machine. And you can also upgrade the functionalities of your machine. For example, if you want to integrate another robot, then you can synchronize perfectly between the XPlanar mover and the robot via TwinCAD, because all the variables and all the positions which you might require for this are already there. So XPlanar is really a new system. You move away from the rather fixed order of process stations which you have, for example, with a conveyor belt, but you also get rid of all the mechanical topics which you usually have. So there is no wear and tear because the movers are actually levitating. And we think that this is really something which is completely new to the industry, or completely new to all industries maybe, and we really hope that this gives you a lot of ideas. To comprehend, XPlanar offers free 2D product movement with up to 6 degrees of freedom, as we have seen in the videos. We have a very unique combination of product transport and of positioning, so we can do 2 systems with the same time. We do not need any handover. We have all kinds of use cases among different kinds of industries, so from the food sector to the pharma sector to classical mounting, everything can be done with XPlanar, and we would love nothing more than discussing different use cases for the XPlanar with you, and really hope that this gave you a short introduction into the topic and maybe made you a little bit hungry about talking with us about XPlanar and how we can help you solving your challenges with XPlanar. Okay, before we come back to technology, first sports again. Canada, Sweden is still tied at 0-0. And in the meantime, I guess there is a change. 1-0 Sweden. So congrats to Scandinavia for now. But in the meantime, Julie has asked the question which links perfectly to the last bit about TwinCAD integration and about XPlanar. So Julie was asking, is the simulator software available for a proof of concept prior to purchasing a system? And yes, it is. It's basically built in our software. So we have the software module for XPlanar inside TwinCAD, and without using hardware, you can just use the software. You can get a trial license from our website, by the way, and program basically all the movements inside your machine. Then you can already visualize these movements. We have some functionalities and some helps for this integrated into our toolbox, and we have some samples available. And then you already know if your machine code will be running in simulation, and if your machine code will be running in simulation, and then you can transfer this knowledge to the real machine once the machine has been set up. So yes, there is a simulation functionality available, which also ensures a very, very rapid prototyping process. To get to know this, once again, please get in contact with your closest Beckhoff subsidiary. There is one all over the world, and you can just find the right one for you on your website. Thank you very much so far for writing us all these questions. If you want to get in touch with us beyond that, please get in contact with Rob or myself or anybody else via LinkedIn, or, for example, through our email address, meet@beckhoff.com. You can see it now in the picture. This comprehends more or less the end, or this comprehends more or less today. But before we would like to say goodbye, we would like to give a short preview on what's coming actually tomorrow. Tomorrow, we would really like to focus on the challenges we have presented in the beginning of this presentation. So we would like to look at the things which we can specifically solve with using XTS. We want to look the feature of the XTS system which enables for customer-specific trajectories, and we would like to show you how we can reduce the space requirements of an XTS system. We would also like to show how XTS reduces the time to market of your products, and we would like to dig into very, very complex manufacturing processes utilizing the new XTS technology, NCT, which stands for No Cable Technology and means energy and data on this mover here. So tune in tomorrow if you would like to know more about XTS and how we can solve these specific challenges. And on Friday, we will have a closer look on XPlanar. In the meantime, we really hope to welcome you back tomorrow at 4 p.m. UTC +1 here on LinkedIn or on our website. We are looking forward to get in touch with you. And for now, we would like to say goodbye and thanks for getting in touch with us. Bye-bye.